Please join me in our opening invocation. All together now. There is one presence and one power active in the universe and in my life, God the good, omnipotent. Now please rise and join us in singing Your Prayer is My Prayer.
Connected by the heart. Where do you end and where do I start? Anything you pray for, if fear is in your way, I am here to listen to anything you need to say. Your prayer is my prayer too. Your prayer is my prayer too. Whatever you feel, I feel too. You're a part of me and I'm a part of you. Your prayer is my prayer too. My prayer too. I hear the worries that are in your way. There's nothing I can do to take your pain away, but I'll help you reconnect with the voice that's deep inside. Let angels wrap you in their love and spirit be your guide. Your prayer is my prayer too. Your prayer is my prayer too. Whatever you feel, I feel too. You're a part of me and I'm a part of you. Your prayer is my prayer too. My prayer too.
Now today we welcome back Reverend Thomas DeSchutter as our guest speaker this morning. Reverend Thomas is on the faculty of Unity Worldwide Spiritual Institute, and he is the minister at Unity of Vancouver Island. Thomas is an award-winning drummer and the proud father of 2 teenage daughters. Thomas lives by the maxim, everything we want for ourselves and our lives comes from within. Please join me in giving a warm Unity welcome to Reverend Thomas DeSchutter.
Originally, I was going to read a whole bunch of stuff off my iPad here that was historical, bringing in the likes of Parmenides, Heraclitus, Plato, Descartes, going back through history to help us all to understand that this idea of oneness, or you might call it monism, which is the philosophy of all things emanate from the one. And even before, I'm a big fan of Jesus. I think he was a pretty cool guy. And I know that that could be a trigger for some people. And I also use the word God, and I know that that can be a trigger for some people. But I just invite you, when you hear those words, to make up your own story around it, because you probably have a story around that word, as we all have stories around everything. We are story makers. We are meaning-making machines. That's what we do. So at any time you get to make up a whole new story about anything, you can just reinvent the moment. That's the beauty of what we have in our biology as humans. And so as I speak these things, I just invite you to let it mean for you whatever it feels like it should mean. Not what I say. I'm just some guy up here who thinks he has something to share with people and is willing to get out in front of you and share it. And hopefully in that sharing, we can, all of us, get to a place where we can understand something together and be that oneness. And if we're not willing, in that song, we are peace, we are war, if we are not willing to see that we are that, in each one of us is the ability to be war. We're humans. If a human can do it or think it, then we have that within us. And we also have that ability to be peace, just as we have that ability to be love. In unity, we like to throw words around like oneness and like omnipresence and omniscience and this idea of what God is or what God isn't. And I have no definition for God. There's no words that I can give you that would define all of everything that exists. As soon as I begin to put it in language, I have limited it. Do you know what I mean? It becomes limited and human, and it's not. Yet it is who we are. We are that too. Just as all things are that, so are we. And yet we look at one another as if we're different, don't we? And so we want this idea of oneness and unity and togetherness, yet at the very same time, we will throw our judgments and accusations out at others as if they're somehow wrong or different or the reason for my whatever in my life. Has anybody done that? Just curious if there's anybody here that's ever felt like somebody is the reason for their whatever, or some event is the reason. And I also think of this idea of presence. Another word we like to throw around in the meditation world is this idea of becoming present. You know, I'm going to go somewhere so I can find presence. It's never not with you. You're always present. The question is whether you have tuned yourself in mentally to the fact that you're right where you are. Instead of thinking about what happened yesterday or what, Bob said to me at the office on Friday when I left and it's Sunday and I'm still irked about it. Or what am I going to do about tomorrow? Oh my gosh, oh man, I'm going to have people over tomorrow night. Do I have the right crackers at home? I'm not sure. Right? And it's not that that's bad, and it's not that it's good, but that's what we end up doing. We're humans. And so at any time, we can break that and actually acknowledge the presence, which is right where you are. Because you're never not right where you are physically, but sometimes mentally, we're not there. Have you ever looked at the person next to you? No, I mean really looked at the person next to you. Really seen them for who they are. I invite you, take a look at who's next to you. If you're at home and there's nobody next to you, then just look at the screen, but don't get freaked out by it, because it's me on there. This is what presencing is. It's actually seeing what is right there, but not with your eyes, with your heart. I used to be fascinated. I'd walk my dog when I lived in Vancouver, and people would come up, and I'm thinking they're going to come up and say hi, and then they, right? Has anybody ever done that? Yeah. Hey, great dog. Hi, you got a nice dog there. Really great. I love this guy. Never, ever connecting with the human that is right there. And I'm not judging it, but don't you find that interesting? That we are so afraid of connecting with one another? Yet with an animal, we feel completely at ease with doing that. Unless it's a bear in the wild, then you might not be like, hey. I'm bringing this up not as a lesson for all of you, but as a lesson for me. Because that's how I walk through life a lot of days. I don't know if people think that ministers are somehow found some great place to be in their lives. No. Most of the ministers I've met, nope, sorry, not the way it is. We're just living our lives, trying to get through like everybody else. And maybe what we've developed is an understanding of tools that are available to us that we can call on and practice and readily be present. Because I think that's really what all of the metaphysical, all of the new thought teachings, all of the wisdom teachings that we can go back in history and look at are really pointing to us about connection, being present, seeing each other. I mean, aren't we looking to be together in community? Aren't we looking to be able to love and appreciate one another everywhere we go? I don't know, just show of hands. Does anybody think that? Or am I just the only one? Okay, so we have some agreement on that, right? We would love to be able to know that no matter where we go in the world, we are all thinking in the same manner, that we are actually one, that we're not out to get each other or to take something from one another, that we're actually here to experience this life together and to be a support for one another, to actually be the loving presence for one another. Wouldn't that be amazing? Now, I know it's not that way. I'm on the island, but I'm not in a cave on the island, so. But that starts with us, doesn't it? Like if I were to think of the one thing that I think Jesus was talking about was that, community, peacefulness, forgiveness, non-judgment. And sometimes it hurts to be that, right? Sometimes you put your heart out there and somebody does that to it. Anybody experience that? Or, yeah. Yeah, I have. But I know for me, I'm willing to do it again. Because the amount of people that actually reciprocate that is far greater than the amount of people that have stepped on that. And so for me, it's a numbers game, right? Really, when you think about it, it's a numbers game. There's going to be way more people that are open to that than against that and willing to share. Have you ever asked somebody for help? Yeah. How often are they yes? Most of the time, right? Sure, there's the odd person that's like, no, I can't. I have a commitment already. But most of the time, if you genuinely reach out to somebody you know and say, hey, I could really use some assistance this weekend, or I've got to move in a couple weeks or something, you will find people that are willing to help. Or, hey, can I have your ear for a moment? I've got this problem I'd like to try to sort out. And people are willing to do that. We want to naturally be in service and in community with one another. And then we have the stuff that happens in our world that shrinks us down and makes us feel small and limits us, and we begin to work in a world of lack consciousness as opposed to a world of abundance. Has anybody here heard the story of Brahman and the gods and what to do with our souls, the human soul? So Brahman, from the Hindu god of all things, the great creator, had figured out that humans had they just weren't playing properly anymore, essentially. And so they needed to do something with the divinity that is in all of us with humans. We needed to protect it from the human. So we got the lesser gods around and asked, how are we going to do this? What should we do? And one of them said, oh, I know what we should do. We should bury it in the earth deep down, and then the humans will never find it there. And Brahma's like, no. They'll figure out, they'll build some machines, they'll dig, and they'll go looking for it, and they'll dig down into the earth, and then they'll end up finding it. Another one said, let's put it on the floor of the deepest ocean and bury it there. And Brahman's like, nope, they'll figure out how to swim or build a submarine, and they'll go down there, and they'll go looking for it, and they'll dig into the sediment down there, and they will find it. And another god says, we'll put it on top of the highest mountain. They'll never find it there. Brahman's like, no, they will figure out how to climb mountains and all the gear that's required for that, and eventually they'll get up there and they'll find it. And then Brahman said, I know what we'll do. We'll put their divinity inside them because they'll never think to looking there. What unity teaches is that each one of us is that divine presence of God, that light, that Christ consciousness, that universe, whatever name you want to put on it. We are each one that essence, that beingness. That is who we are. And our job, in my mind, this is just me, you don't have to take this on, but my mind is that our job is to see that divinity in each and every person. Even the one that upsets me the most, the worst political candidate I could ever think of, the worst human being in the history of mankind, of humankind, they have that divinity within them. They might just be off course a little. And so if we want to be unity and we want that oneness, we want that presence, that's the gig. I'm sorry to say, it has to stem from each one of us to see that divinity, to hold it for that person, even when they can't see it for themselves. Because sometimes people don't know they have that. They can't see it in themselves. And so we get to do that. And by doing it, we give permission for others to do the same thing. That's the work. Anybody familiar with Meister Eckhart? 1300s, Catholic priest. So he was a Catholic priest in the 1300s. He was brought up on charges of heresy because he didn't really go with the flow back then. He was I like him because, for those that don't know, I've lived most of my life as a rock musician. So I kind of look at it like my job is to fight the man, you know. Wherever there's authority, I need to challenge that. So I like him because he was that. And he said that God expects but one thing of you. Like, okay, so this is great, right? Oh, there's only one thing I need to do. Awesome. So I'm going to solve everything for you right now from Meister Eckhart from the 1300s. And then, you know, if we really follow this, I don't know if we ever need to step foot into a spiritual center again. I hate to say it, but what we can do is we can come here for music and celebration and food and community and know that we are that presence. But here it is. God expects but one thing of you, and that is that you should come out of yourself insofar as your created being and let God be God in you. So that says to me, let that light that is in you be that light in you. Allow yourself to be who you are, your truth, that light of truth. Any creative person I have met and spoken to has battled that, letting themselves be their true creative self. And you don't need to be an artist to experience that. It's in every area. As a parent, I know as a parent, when I started, I was looking for the guidance from everyone else except myself, until I realized that, wait a second, I actually have an idea of how to be here with my kids, how to presence myself with them, how to be a father. And so I'm going to trust that. I'm going to trust that intuition that I have. So that's really the work for all of us, is to allow ourselves to be that. It was George Eliot that said, "'Tis God gives skill, but not without persons' hands. He could not make Antonio Stradivari's violins without Antonio." Like, in order for those violins to be made, Antonio needed to show up to make them. So let's allow ourselves to be that divinity. And let's allow others to be that divinity. It's going to require getting rid of our judgments. It's going to require forgiveness. There's a scripture. Peter says to Jesus, "Master, how many times should I forgive my brother? 7 times?" Yes, 7 times, 70 times. That means that you forgive until it is forgiven. Not for that person, for you. The forgiveness is for you so that you can move on, so that you can get back to that divinity. Have you ever had one of those moments where somebody says something not so very kind and then they just go on and continue their day and you're like stewing over it for hours, maybe days, and you see them again and they're like, "Hey, how you doing?" And they have no clue that what they said triggered you. But who's stuck in it? Are they or are you? So we want to let go of that stuckness. We want to live in that place of oneness. And it doesn't happen over there or out there. It all happens in here. It's not easy work, but it's rewarding. It's nice to be able to go through life not having to worry about what other people think of you. To truly be yourself, even though sometimes it might be uncomfortable. And so if we put together this idea of oneness and this idea of letting go of lack, of limiting ourselves, and truly being our oneness, truly being our uniqueness, and allow others to be that as well, that's the beginning of community. That is oneness. That is unity. That is togetherness. I think I'll leave us with something from Eric Butterworth. He says, "Do you happen to know the ancient etymology of the words heaven and hell?" Does anybody here happen to know those? I didn't either. Butterworth says that the word hell comes from a word that literally means to not see. To not see what? To not see the divine within yourself and others. That is hell. Heaven, well, that comes from a word that literally means to expand. To expand into what? To expand into our divine potential. And how might we do that? I have a really simple practice for us to be able to do that. It's from Buddhist tradition. It is namaskar. So you're familiar with namaste. The word namaskar is to say, I bow to the divinity in you. I bow to the divinity in you. Butterworth actually says what would be a good practice to start this is to stand in the mirror and say this to yourself. I bow to the divinity in you. And then to take that out into the world and actually think of that when you see other people. To be present to that when you're with other people. To be present to that when you're practicing your meditation and prayer. To be constantly in a state of bowing to the divinity that is in all things everywhere as it moves through us, around us, in us, and it is us. And so with that, I will say, I bow to the divinity in all of you. Thank you.
An open heart, an open hand, just a softer place to land. Maybe a kind word you've been told before, but you never heard. It's from a stranger, someone you have never met before. Someone could be opening a door. Take the beaten track, the same way there and the same way back. I wonder what you'd find if you took some time with a stranger, someone you have never met before. rest? Can you say I did my best for a stranger, someone you have never met before? Someone could be opening a door. We look but we don't see. We close our eyes so easily and we miss the chance to say, is there something I could do for you? Something I could do for you. Something I could do to help you through. 'Cause helping you might just help me too. La 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 la
Let's give it up one more time for Beverly Ellett and Bill Costin. And thank you so much, Thomas, for a wonderful, inspiring talk. And to donate online, simply click on the donation link in the chat window, which will allow you to give via all major credit cards. And if you're here in person, we're happy to announce that as of today, if you're donating via credit card or Interact, you can now make your donations quickly and easily at the bookstore if you would prefer. And of course, whether you're here in person or online, you can give via e-transfer, which can be addressed to donations@unityofvancouver.org. Once again, if you're on YouTube or Zoom, you'll find a donate link in the chat window. If you enjoyed the Beatles night and classic rock 70 nights, then get ready because here comes the 80s Live, the ultimate retro concert, which will be performed by Tom Arntzen and Nathan Aswell's incredible band, The Hits. This incredible musical evening will feature the music of David Bowie, The Police, Bruce Springsteen, Journey, The Rolling Stones, Rod Stewart, Van Halen, Bon Jovi, B-52's Dire Straits, and many more. It's going to be an incredible night of entertainment, and tickets are now on sale for just $30. So to buy your ticket, just go to your most recent email and click on the Buy Tickets link. You're invited also to the next Explore Your Inner Being workshop. Join us and awaken your ability to calm the mind, soothe the body, and radiate your true power. Amplify your ability to give and receive energy. Experience the power of connection in community. No need to register, as this is a drop-in class. You can find all the info on our website, and the next workshop will take place on Thursday, October 17th from 7 to 9. And of course, this Tuesday, you can check out our thriving Course in Miracles community by attending our Course in Miracles study group live downstairs from 12:30 to 2:30. And if you have any questions on this or any other events, please feel free to ask at the bookstore after the services. And next Sunday, it's Thanksgiving. Already, I can't believe how fast the time is going. We'll be hosting our annual Thanksgiving potluck. So please bring a dish to share. It's going to be a wonderful feast, and we will be able to give thanks together. And finally, on October 18th, it's the Unity Canada Conference, which is taking place online, and we'll be featuring Reverend Santa Campbell, who will give the opening address. Maitre and our own musical director, Beverly Elliott, will be doing a special workshop on weaving your life into a tapestry of us. Yeah. So tickets for this online event, which runs Friday night through Sunday afternoon, are just $100 and can be purchased by clicking the link in your most recent Unity email. And just think, you can stay home in your pajamas if you want and do it all online. I think that's so convenient. Today's affirmative prayer chaplains are Jeannie Bell Irving, Barb Richards, Mike Richards, and on Zoom, Lori Malenka. Would you please stand? To have a confidential prayer with one of our chaplains, please simply come up to the front after the music is finished, and you'll find the chaplains in the front row. They'll be happy to support you in prayer, and if you're watching on Zoom, I'll show you how to participate in just a few minutes. Finally, please join us downstairs after the service today for coffee, tea, cookies, and conversation. And now, as we bring our gathering to a close, please stand and let us say together our prayer for protection. Together now, the light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And please remain standing as we do our peace song.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
Your breakout invitation, which will pop up on your screen shortly. Thank you so much for joining us. See you all next week, and God bless.